All right, so you're out there diving into this whole world of AI content creation, right? But like at the same time, you don't want your stuff to get flagged as like robotic or unoriginal, am I right?
It's a real tightrope walk, isn't it?
It totally is. And that's why we're here today, diving deep into some seriously savvy strategies to keep you, shall we say, under the radar.
I like it. Stealthy content creation.
Exactly. And to help us navigate this, we've got a fantastic expert joining us. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
So we're going to be zeroing in on two techniques in particular. First up, rewriting and paraphrasing.
Ah, the dynamic duo.
They really are, because AI-generated content, more often than not, it leaves behind these little telltale signs.
It does. It's like a fingerprint, almost.
Mm.
Think about those common phrases or the sentence structures that just scream, AI was here.
It's like AI has its own writing style, but not one we necessarily want.
Precisely.
So our goal is to take those AI building blocks and make them, well, sound more human.
Music to my ears. And that's where rewriting comes into play. And not just any rewriting. I'm talking good old-fashioned manual rewriting. This is where you roll up your sleeves, tap into your creativity, inject some personality into the text, make it your own.
I love that. It's like taking a really basic recipe, like, let's say, a plain chicken and rice, and then you get to go wild with your spice rack.
A perfect analogy. So instead of, let's say, reading the meeting was productive, which, let's be honest, is kind of bland.
Snooze fest.
Right. You could say something like, the team, they huddled together, brainstorming ideas until that whiteboard was overflowing with possibilities.
Ooh, I like it.
By the end, we had a crystal clear roadmap for success. See how much more vivid and engaging that is.
Night and day. But, and this is a big but, manual rewriting, while fantastic, does take time. And time, my friend, is precious. So let's talk about those paraphrasing tools that everyone's buzzing about.
Oh, absolutely. They've definitely got their place in the content creator's toolkit. I mean, tools like Quillbot, Spinbot, incredibly useful, particularly for restructuring sentences on the fly or unearthing fresh ways to phrase things. Think of them as brainstorming buddies, you know?
Okay, I like that. But like with any good brainstorming buddy, you don't just blindly agree with everything they say, right?
You got it. You always want to review and edit those suggestions. It's crucial to ensure the tone lines up with your voice. We don't want it to sound like a robot trying to play human, do we?
The robot takeover can wait a little longer.
Precisely. You want it to sound like you.
That's key. All right, so we've tackled making that AI content sound less robotic, more human. But what about this whole balance between simplicity and complexity? Where does that come in?
Ah, now that is another essential piece of this puzzle.
Yeah.
Because AI sometimes gets a little stuck. Either it's overly simplistic or it's bombarding you with jargon, neither of which is very appealing.
So it's like a musical performance that's either stuck on one note or trying to cram in every note at once. Not exactly a recipe for a chart topper.
You hit the nail on the head. What we're after is that sweet spot, that middle ground.
That flow state.
Exactly. Just like a natural, engaging conversation. Sometimes that means taking a long, convoluted sentence and breaking it down into shorter, punchier ones. Other times, it means sprinkling in a touch of detail, a splash of imagery, to really bring a simple sentence to life.
You want it to have rhythm. So when you're looking at a piece of AI-generated content, what are some red flags? How can you tell if it's either too simple or too complex?
One thing to watch out for is a lack of sensory details. If it feels very abstract, like it's not really engaging your senses, that could be a sign that it's a tad too simplistic. On the flip side, if you're finding yourself rereading sentences multiple times just to try to decipher the meaning, that's a clear indication it's leading too far into complexity.
So if you're reading it and suddenly you need a dictionary and a nap, it's probably not a good sign. Wow, this has been so eye-opening. It's really amazing how such small tweaks can make a world of difference.
They really can.
The big takeaway here, AI. Fantastic tool, but it's that human touch, that creative spark that elevates your work from good to amazing. So don't be afraid to play around, experiment, and most importantly, make it your own.
I couldn't agree more.
This has been fantastic. Thanks for joining us and sharing your expertise.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
And to all of you amazing listeners, keep creating, keep experimenting, and we'll catch you in the next deep dive.